Now, could the secret to avoiding injury from a fall actually lie in the ancient form of martial art?
Dr. Katrina McDonald is a sports scientist and a judo coach. She started using the principles of the combat sport to teach people over 65 how to fall safely in dedicated classes.
Dr. Katrina joins us now alongside her Dr. Zoe to tell us more. Good morning,
Morning, both.
ladies.
Good
morning.
Very nice to have you in the studio this morning. So let's start with you first of all, Dr. Zoe. Why do we fall more when we're older, and why are we more susceptible to nasty falls?
There are lots of reasons why, as we get older, we're more likely to fall, and falls are very common. So in the over 65s, 1 in 3 people will fall at least once a year, and once you get to over 80, then half will. Firstly, you know, loss of bone strength and loss of muscle strength and loss of balance, which are preventable. Hearing and sight loss, which are partly treatable, as well as certain health conditions which get more common, which can have an impact on whether we feel dizzy, our cognitive state, and medications as well. So lots of reasons why, as well as things like, you know, bladders not being as effective at holding fluids, rushing to the toilet, rushing around the home at night and tripping and falling.
Yeah.
And I think something that's really important is there's that risk of falls, which is largely preventable, but also whether or not you fracture a bone, which we know has serious consequences, largely comes down to how strong your bones are.
Right.
And we know that osteoporosis is very, very common. 1 in 2 women over the age of 50 will fracture a bone because of osteoporosis, and 1 in 5 men. And it's preventable. So a lot of people don't know that osteoporosis is preventable. So when we're thinking about falls, we can reduce our risk of falling, we can reduce our risk of breaking bones, but we can also reduce our risk from the way we fall, which is really interesting.
So there's things that you can do medically, and there's things that you can do to prepare yourself, but there's also things you can do physically, Katrina. So what made you come up with the idea of actually, you know, taking judo and saying, you know, I need to get some geriatric judo going on because this could really make a difference?
I think it's clear, it's important that we say that there's Olympic judo, and then there is principles that we take into judo. And for me, it was because of my grandfather. When he was in his 70s. Do you remember TheraBand, those nice elastic bands? Yeah, so I gave him some exercise. I said, can you help me? And I'm a sport coach, so of course I can help. But actually, it wasn't until he was in his 90s, 93, that I thought, you ninny, you should have taught him how to fall.
Right.
And so then I thought about it, and then I've started to present it to other people, and people have asked me to come. And now I'm trying to promote it more so that I can train more judo coaches to help more people.
Because there is that moment where you do almost need a little bit of training in it, because obviously when you fall, you just respond in whatever way you think is going to save yourself first. But actually, sometimes that's very dangerous.
I think it's that kind of fear of falling in society. We sit people on chairs, and even when we go to school, we're not sitting on the floor anymore, and we create this fear of the floor. So that's when you start heading towards the floor, you're like, oh.
Yes.
And that is the thing that we want to change. So we have principles that we're applying from judo to this area, and it's very exciting. And also, it's about making it accessible for everyone. But, you know, to say I'm going to do judo, I bet you all thought, oh, gosh, Katrina, we don't want to do that. You know, like, that's a lot in the morning. But
I'd do anything you told me to do, Katrina. But,
the idea of you hip on me over the over your shoulder at some point.
There is time later, I'm sure.
Important things that, because one of the things that Zoe just talked about was balance, and it is balance very often. And I see my dad is 80 now, and every now and again I see him stand up, and I can see he's not as steady on his feet. He walks every day, he gets his steps in, but I can see that balance going, and that sort of, and his hearing's gone as well, so one of his senses is very affected. What are the things that we need to think about when it comes to balance, and if you do feel yourself falling?
So one of the great things about judo is actually, in Olympic judo, we're trying to throw people flat on their back to win. But to be able to throw someone, you have to understand how you break the balance. So we call that kazushi, breaking the balance. So because we understand that, we can help people to think about, well, how can I improve my balance? And so the program, when I'm working in the classes, we're talking about balance, the gait, like you're walking, make sure you have good strides, and then thinking about, like, there is lots of fall prevention measures out there, and people are already doing that brilliantly. But the points we're trying to bring in is about safer falling with the principles.
Okay, so how do we do it?
Yes.
Can you demonstrate some safer falling?
Okay, so the principles for, there's 3 principles for safer falling.
Okay.
The first one is to protect your head.
Yes.
So you can all try to have a go at this while you're sitting on the sofa there.
Right.
So the first thing you're having to do is you don't want to put your chin on your chest because that overextends your neck muscles. What you want to do is look at your imaginary belt. So you're protecting your head there, look at your imaginary belt.
Okay.
The next thing you have to imagine is I'm wearing white, so I like to think of myself as an angel. So you're going to make nice angel wings here. If you don't want to think about angel wings, aeroplane, soldier, angel wings. You could also think of a pizza slice or 45 degrees.
Okay.
So you have the 2 principles now. The third principle is all about the timing. So I'm going to show you them. The best way is to try it from the floor. So as you can see here, I'm lying on the floor, I'm looking at my belt, and you can see the space here, so my head hasn't hit the floor. So when we're talking about angel wings, I'm gonna bang the floor 3 times from my fingertip to my shoulder. Now the third one is 2-part, and it's very tricky. You have to try and dissipate the energy from the fall and add a roll. So you might think of it as when my lower back or my judo belt hits the floor, I'm gonna activate my hands. So as I roll back here, that's what we're aiming for. So once you have these 3 principles, you can apply them to any fall. We have sideways mechanisms, and the front one I think is really crucial because as we talked about, people, whoa!
Yes, for sure.
And that tiny surface area is a lot of weight. So what we're gonna try and do is to protect our head falling forward. If you've ever fallen on your nose, it's so painful.
It is.
So you have to turn your head to the side. Fingertips to your elbow is the closest surface area you can make. So we just start like this.
Small movements.
And then we have to grow people in confidence. I'm very confident. I'm very happy on the floor. So to grow people in confidence, the better and better you get at it, the more you can add momentum, the more you can add height, and the more you can fall.
And so it's dissipating that energy as it comes down, the longer the surface
So
area
it's
there.
those 3 principles, and then we've added them into a curriculum, and it's all about making it people feel confident and comfortable. You can't progress until you can do the layer below. And I think that's really crucial. Get people on the floor and get them comfortable.
Yeah.
And that's what we're trying to achieve.
Yeah.
Katrina, thank you so much. We're out of time now, but will you stay and put some videos and some demonstrations on the This Morning app? Because I think it'd be incredible for our viewers to be able to see some of the stuff you're talking about, to understand those principles in practice as well.
Perfect.
Amazing.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Thank you, Zoe, as well.
Zoe. Thank you.